You know, the strange thing about this whole series? None of this felt obvious when we first started experimenting with these systems.
Not even close. At first it just looked like a smarter search box.
Ask a question. Get an answer.
Which is still how most people think about AI today.
Unleash your creative AI engine. How Humans Guide Intelligent Systems. Series 1 Summary. What we've really been exploring is how collaboration with AI actually works. Over the last several episodes, we discovered something important. The power of these systems doesn't come from perfect answers. It comes from exploration.
Starting with fragments of ideas. Exploring directions those fragments might grow into.
And learning to recognize which directions are promising.
That recognition is what we call taste. And taste is what allows a person to direct the exploration.
Which is very different from just asking for answers.
Exactly. Because once you begin directing exploration, the system becomes something more than a tool. It becomes a creative collaborator.
If this shift is so powerful, why aren't more people noticing it?
Because the interface makes it look deceptively simple. A question goes in. An answer comes out.
Which makes the interaction feel like a smarter search engine.
But the people who get the most value out of these systems aren't using them that way. They're using the system to explore possibilities. Which creates a very different interaction.
On the left is the model most people start with. A person asks a question. They wait for an answer. If the answer isn't quite right, they try another prompt.
Now look at the column on the right. The interaction begins with a fragment. The system expands possibilities from that starting point. And the human evaluates which directions are promising.
So the real shift isn't in the interface. The shift is in how the human approaches the interaction.
Which explains why some people suddenly seem to move much faster with these systems.
They're not asking better questions. They're directing exploration. And that difference changes everything.
So the people who understand this interaction start moving much faster.
Exactly. Because directing exploration creates leverage. One person can explore far more ideas than before.
More drafts. More variations. More experiments.
Which dramatically increases the speed of discovery.
So useful ideas appear sooner. And weak directions get eliminated more quickly.
Which means the process compounds.
Exactly. Because directing exploration turns AI into a creative amplifier.
Which explains why the people learning this skill aren't particularly worried about the technology.
Because they've discovered something most people haven't seen yet. The advantage isn't automation. It's leverage.
Which means a single creative professional can suddenly explore an enormous idea landscape.
That's a pretty extraordinary shift.
And it changes what a single person is capable of creating. Which brings us to the most important question. If the system expands possibilities.
If the system expands possibilities, then what exactly is the human supposed to do?
That question turns out to be the most important shift in this entire series. Because the role of the human is changing.
Most people still approach these systems like operators. Specify the task. Wait for the output. Fix what went wrong.
But directing collaboration looks very different. The operator tries to control the system. The director guides exploration.
Which means the human contribution isn't disappearing. It's becoming more important.
Because someone still has to recognize what matters.
Exactly.
So the shift isn't really about the technology. It's about how the person working with it changes.
Exactly. Which means the next step in this journey isn't about better prompts. It's about understanding the role you're stepping into. In the next chapter, we'll explore the identity shift that happens when someone moves from operating these systems to directing them.
And why that shift changes everything.
We'll see you in Chapter 2.